Last year I did my first ever portfolio purchase. It was worth 130 per unit and I was paying 83 and a half. Sat down one day and wrote it down, and the further down I was writing, the more my hands started going like this. This is all money out plus 100 grand, like what's the catch here?
It's like on one side there's a move from anti-landlord. At the same time you're seeing big pension funds buying up 500 unit portfolios of single let in Barnsley somewhere. What do you think is the biggest lesson you've learned in property?
Probably like not everybody's got
And we're back for another episode of the PBK podcast. Today, I can promise you big money, good advice, and some conversations around great deals. I've got Chris with me. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How you getting on?
I'm good, thank you. Do you know what it is? Do you know how I know I was going to like you?
Why?
Like, I really like the Scottish accent. It's my favourite thing. Like, see, old school, like I'm talking beginning of the internet. And there was this this guy who used to prank like the Scottish pizza shop.
Oh, yeah.
Mate, that video, like, and him, like, you know, being so angry and Scottish. Like, and have you seen the one where like the guy's on a canoe and there's like a killer whale or something like that? And he's like, "You're not gonna eat me."
I beat it.
Yeah. Oi, listen, I think there's something about like just the Scottish demeanour is just like, listen, we're just here to get on and have a good time. And I think that makes for a great crack. And I think today's going to be a good episode.
Well, hopefully I deliver then, don't let you down.
Mate, listen, I'm confident. Oh, by the way, I've been told to say this because a lot of you watch till right before the end when I say it. Make sure you subscribe. If you subscribe, you're probably going to get a better deal by the end of the year. Anyway, for people that don't know you, just give people a brief intro of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so my name's Kristoffer Dalziel. I'm a property deal sourcer and investor, and I live in Newcastle, which is northeast of England. So I grew up in a council estate. We call it a scheme in Scotland. Small town just outside of Glasgow. Was background kind of messed about at school. Mum and dad like split up early, kind of single parent home. So wasn't the greatest. And pretty much everyone was in the same boat. So you just had to get on with it. Like you're saying about the demeanour there, you just need to deal with the cards that you've got. Ended up retraining to be an accountant. Did my master's degree in Newcastle, met my wife who was living in London originally, and we settled in Newcastle. And then from there, from kind of moving away, I realised like this 95 is not for me, and that's when I delved deeper into.
Do you know, before we get onto property, I guess one thing I think that's important is like mindset. I get a lot of people that like, you know, they tell me they're in it. Like I did a talk in a school the other day, and this boy came up to me and he's like, "Look, I want to do this and I want to invest in property and I want to be a business owner, but like I live on this estate, like you said, or a scheme for those that are in Scotland." I'm gonna ask you about some other Scottish slang as well later on. But like he grew up around there, and he's like, all my friends are doing nothing. Like I don't see a way out. Like for you that grew up around that, but you went on to do your masters, professionally qualify. Like I said, if your friends were just, you know, a lot of friends might be like, well, it's the weekend, I'm just going to go for a drink in the park, I'm not really that bothered, I might be up to no good. What made you actually say, no, do you know what? I want to pursue higher education. I want more for myself.
So actually, my uncle lives in London, and he retired about 10 years early for his property portfolio. But he would always come up and visit us, and he'd had the new Beamer. He was always in nice holidays. But he was like working hard, and he was an accountant and he had properties. So I was just always stuck in my head. I was like, I need to get properties. And then I was doing sales, which I didn't really enjoy at the time because it was like hardcore. I'm talking sitting with Yellow Pages, phoning, trying to sell double glazing windows, and done loads of different jobs. But
I had done double glazing. That was a magic.
Yeah,
like,
it's not the best.
Oh, mate, I've forgotten. I've never said that I've sold double glazing before.
There you go, man. Core memory unlocked.
I didn't do it for that long, like, and it was mate.
We had a telephone and then the Yellow Pages, and it was phone them. You had a script, so it was like I hated it, but it gave you all the soft skills you need for later. So I was like, I always just kind of looked up to him, and then I did well at sales, and I had a job in recruitment eventually. And during the 2014 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, we got a big contract through my work, which was worth a good commission. And I was like, hold on here, like this could be dangerous. I could like spaff this very easily. So I got on the phone to my uncle and I was like, what about retraining in accounting? He's like, the time's going to pass anyway. Kind of worked it out as I was 25 when I went back. So I worked out the money side of things, and I thought I'm actually only a couple £100 worse off because you get grants being a bit older, no council tax, and you don't pay tuition fees in Scotland. So I was like, yeah, I'll give it a go. And then that was my degree, kind of did it in Scotland, and then did my masters in Newcastle when I had my job with PwC lined up. But it was always like, I just always stuck with my mum. I knew he had nice things. And then when he retired, he got like laid off for his last job, and then he just went, well, I'm not going back. And that's just what stuck with me. So I used to save up. I call them grunters. So very low purchase price, high yield, zero capital appreciation. Because I thought you just went in Rightmove and the minimum obviously loan at the time is like a 50k purchase price. So I thought you get your 12.5 grand in your stamp and you go for it. And I'm doing this over a course of a few years and I'm just like, how am I going to get to here? And then I'm seeing people online doing like 15 in a year, 20 in a year. And then that's when I decided I'm going to kind of delve in further. And like you're saying about the environment, then being away from that, because you would go out, it's just by default, you go to the pub, what do you normally do? You do this and that. And then next thing you know, you've wasted the weekend and the full week's probably wasted because you're hanging. So all of a sudden you're away from that environment and I'm like, right, I can delve into this property stuff because I was always into it. And when we'd be out at the pub, I'd be like drunk off my head talking about, I want to buy 100 houses one day. I like simmer down. I
think whenever I hear people's stories, like, and most of the people that I speak to in property, they don't grow up saying, I'm wanting to be a builder. It's something that's like a core memory of this person was the person with the nice house. This person used to go on a holiday. They used to have my dream car. And when I asked them questions, they said it came from investing in property, being a business person, and that's what inspired them.
Yeah.
And I think it just goes to show that you know, when they talk about like maybe sometimes a bit of a undermotivated like youth, that actually rather than certain things in the curriculum, if you spoke about, look, this is possible if you save, if you invest, if you do X, Y, or Z, you probably find a lot more people that invest more efficiently and do more with their money at an earlier age.
Oh, 100%. And that's the thing as well, you're talking about like going and stuff like that. I got invited to speak at my old primary school a few months ago and I went in. And the kids all loved it because like I'm still one of them.
Primary school, yeah.
Yeah, I've got the tracksuit on, and despite obviously the fact that I've like managed to build something good, like they see it's from someone who grew up in a couple of streets away. So that's the thing as well. It's
Have you done a secondary school?
I'm going to do secondary school hopefully this year, but this was just my primary school I went to. So it's like,
do you know if it's going to be boys or girls?
It'll be both,
mate. Let me tell you something. I've spoken at Barclays, like I've spoken at banks, I've spoken to like flipping, like, I don't know, like high net worth individuals. Them kids are scary.
Yeah.
You don't like what you're saying, they'll look at you like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, so just be ready for like, you'll be talking, you look at them, one of them's looking at you like,
yeah.
But it's really good though. Like, it's really good. The ones that do care, it's so rewarding.
Yeah, even if you can like one person inspire. But that's the thing. My uncle grew up, so he was one of 6, I think. Yeah. 3 brothers, 2 sisters, and then the mum and dad. So there was 8 of them living in this house, and my auntie still lives there to this day. It's a 3-bed house. It's not big.
Yeah.
And he moved down to London. And he moved to Streatham and like back in the day Streatham.
Yeah.
So, and then he's kind of worked his way up. So you see that. I think that's what sticks to you. Like, well, he's done it, but you're around all these people there. You're brought up right. You'll do this, and then you sign on when you're 18, and then you've got a credit file so you can take out like catalogues, phone bills, and you just don't pay it. You think it's like free money.
That's like the amount of people that like have got CCJs because they just, do you remember like the periods of Wonga? And like the people be like, oh, like I can't go on holiday, so I'm just gonna get a 3,000% loan. Like
I did it, mate. I did it when I was young, and then it was like it messed my credit file up. So I went for a house, and I got rejected, and then it was like, so the penny didn't drop for me a bit later because I thought I'll just go out and this is all free money and there's no consequences. But 7 years was a consequence.
And that's when you think about it. It's like there's so much stuff that if you just talk to people about, this is the impact of, there's nothing wrong with credit cards, but this is how you use them. Yeah. This is efficient credit utilization. This is how you use it that's going to benefit you. This is how you use it that's going to be detrimental. And also just telling stories of what's possible. Yeah. I saw this thing recently and it's like really stuck in my mind. And it was a story about, sorry for animal activists, by the way, but it was a story about like these scientists and basically had like these test rats and basically they put like 4 of them in like a glass bowl. Yeah. And they put these 4 rats in a glass bowl and like just like with water in it, left them swimming. After 16 minutes, they all died, they all drowned. Another 4 rats they put in, same bowl, like same setting, same everything, kept everything the same. But like just before the 16th minute, they took them out, they washed them, they dried them, they got them warm, they fed them. 2 days later, they put the same rats back in the water. The first time was 16 minutes. How long do you think they survived after like being given that hope?
Probably like 45 minutes or something.
2 days.
What?
So it just goes to show that if you know something's possible, if you've seen that you can do it, like the amount that affects your ability to continue and keep working forward. And which is where, like, whether it's this podcast, whether it's other stuff online, but the ability to see that, do you know what? Me saying that I've currently got hardship isn't enough to be like, oh, I should just give up because things are hard. If you can see the potential and see what's possible, it's such a driver to keep going. And I think that's just like such a poignant example of like how hope creates drive and creates possibility.
100%.
This episode of the podcast is sponsored by the PBK community. Now, if you're serious about starting or scaling your property portfolio, but you're feeling stuck or feeling like you're running in circles, trust me, I've been there, but listen, you don't have to go it alone. That's why I put together the PBK community, a space where you get real support, build real connections, and yield real results. Now, we're talking direct access to my power team like lawyers, brokers, architects, and so much more. Bi-weekly Zoom calls with industry pros and template contracts and bespoke tools to make sure you're not wasting time on the wrong moves. And exclusive property deals sourced specifically for members' needs. No fluff, no gimmicks, just support and resources you actually need to level up your property game. This isn't another networking group. It's an elite membership designed for property entrepreneurs who want to be on the inside. We're talking proven systems to streamline your operations, expert-led training to help you work smarter and faster, and a community of like-minded investors. So if you're tired of trying to do it all on your own and you're ready to start implementing the right systems right now, let's book a call with me and my team to chat about how we can make it happen. The link will be in the bio. Now back to the video.
See if you've got that as well, because let's be honest, a lot of these people that are further on, so I'll deal with maybe people in their mid-40s or like people high up in business, and a lot of them are similar, and they can kind of see in you, right, he's maybe not here with the wealth-wise yet or this, but he's got the drive and he's got this, so they can kind of draw, trying to draw you like a magnet, and then they teach you so much as well because they've been through what you have, and obviously you just want to get yourself in rooms that you've not really got any right being in as well. And I say that sometimes, like my phone book, I'm like, how are these people in my phone, man? Like, it's crazy. And then you think back to when like you're away partying and you're buzzing to get a credit card because you can just run up a 3,000, because in Scotland you didn't get bailiffs to the door or anything, so you just bumped it and then off you go, and then it was like, right, re-goes. Like, genuinely, that was a
Hey mate, if they had that, did you ever see a show, if you can't pay, take it away?
Yeah.
Mate, that would have been gold in Scotland.
Well, if the killer whale's going for that guy and he's going for that, I don't think someone chasing for a credit card debt, man, he won't get very far.
That would have made comedy gold. Like. But I just think like that's why it's so important to don't be afraid to have, like, don't have like a limiting mindset where you're like, oh, I don't want to say anything for fear that somebody's going to take my little change out of my pocket if I talk about it. Like, you have to have that abundance mindset that the more I talk about things, the more that I'm going to align myself with other people that do similar things. Maybe I can help them, maybe they can help me, but it's always going to be a value exchange of information and possibility.
100%. And see, like the money side of things as well, that's another thing. When you grow up and you're not really around it, you try and talk about it to people, but no one really ever talks about it openly, about finances. So you see all these people running about and they've maybe got the brand new Merc and they've got the Balenciagas on and the Rolexes and stuff, but they're still living like with their parents or anything. It's just like, how are these people affording this? But they're all doing credit cards or things, but no one really talks about it. And then when you're getting around some of these people you're in, the conversations are about like setting businesses up, how to do this, how to do more, basically. And then like sometimes, like my mortgage broker, he buys so many, man, he buys them like sweets. So he's buying a block just now in Glasgow which is worth £6 million done up. He's buying it for 3 million, I think. So I'm speaking to him and obviously I'm doing volume, but some of the stuff's lower value, and I'm just thinking, man, like, how do I get to that? So even you're around them and then you're constantly
thinking, you think bigger because somebody's saying no, like, and they believe in you. Like, so when people hear what you're doing, and like you said, you've used that example of your broker buying a block for 3 million. In your head, with like the limited potential, you're like, well, I'm buying these ones for 50,000, 150,000, and that's my lane. Yeah. But then they know you, they believe in you. Yeah. And when somebody who's doing it believes in you, it's such a driver to be like, okay, like maybe I can do it. You lose that imposter syndrome of, oh, it's too difficult, it's too big for me, or I'm not smart enough.
Yeah, the thing is as well, it's like it's a numbers game, as you know, for being in property. So like, last year as well, I did my first ever portfolio purchase, and it was like, I think it was worth 130 per unit, and I was paying 83.5. So like, I thought it was like, my broker was going on saying like it's a good deal and stuff like that, and then I sat down one day before I went in the deal, and wrote it down, and the further down I was writing, the more my hand started going like this. So I'm like, this is all money out plus 100 grand. Like, what's the catch here? And then I was in New York in March with my brother-in-law, and I was in the pub, and then I opened my bank, and they were all starting to trickle in. And I was just like, fucking hell, this actually works. Sorry for swearing.
That's all right.
But then, like you say, it's now got the confidence. So I'm going, hold on now. That was probably the same amount of effort as buying a single unit. Let's go for portfolios now. Then I've got a portfolio of 7 like in legals at the moment, where before I was coming in here, I'm trying to agree a portfolio in Edinburgh, which is, if you buy portfolios in Scotland at the moment as well, there's no tax, so you pay 1% of the transaction, but it's usually 8% for a single. So if it's £1 million, you're saving like 80k basically.
Yeah, so it's similar like you got like the rule of 6. If you're buying over 6, like it's a commercial purchase.
Yeah.
So you pay like the lower rate of the stamp duty.
Yeah, because I bought a block of 6 in Newcastle this year, but it was mangled. But I didn't pay any because it was 110k, because the first 150k is free.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're quite popular in Scotland just now, because there's rumours, usually Scotland follow England, obviously they're devolved, but there's rumours they're going to follow suit with England and put that in place now, which then just changes deals.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and I think we spoke recently on a podcast just about like the importance of understanding the budget and understanding not just what's happened, but reading the room.
Yeah.
So like there's something that, you know, where they're talking about potentially like making so you know, at the moment, if you own like a property in your personal name or a portfolio in your personal name, you can use a partnership to incorporate it into a limited company, but they're saying they're going to make the process of that a lot harder. The second they start saying we're going to start making it harder, down the line they're going to stop making it possible. So you have to really act early on and be an early adopter to take, I guess, advantage of the market as it is and predict where it's also going to be.
It's hard though, because like people building portfolios 20, 30 years ago, like probably limited company wasn't as popular. Then obviously Section 24 comes in, all of a sudden it's like you're being punished here for doing well in life. And then you've got the people that keep leveraging up as well, because from 2008 to COVID, the rates were pretty much nil, so debt was so cheap, so you could buy anything and it would work because the debt was so cheap. And then all of a sudden they bring stuff like this in, and the 2% rise and stuff like that for personal owned. So I think they're trying to drive it towards professional landlords now, and people like us that are buying in the company structure, and maybe try to get rid of like mom and pop landlords and stuff.
Yeah, I think that they are definitely, and it's weird because it's like there's a move from like, it's like on one side there's a move from anti-landlord, right? In terms of they don't want the accidental landlord, the person who just owns like a single property. But at the same time, when you look at like a higher level and look at like, you know, even though they're saying, oh, landlords, is this the end for landlords? This is the final nail in the coffin for landlords. At the same time, you're seeing big pension funds buying up like 500 unit portfolios of single lets like in Barnsley somewhere. So for me, I'm like, look, I don't know enough. I don't have enough money to spend on research and R&D and development. But if you see that the big boys are still doing it, again, like my thing a lot of the time is just follow the money. Because they've spent the money to know where the market's going.
100%. And then like Newcastle just now as well, obviously the football team got taken over by the Public Investment Fund in Saudi in 2021. And then like you just seen the buzz that generated around City.
Who do you support?
So I support a team called Airdrie, a like small team in Scotland. We're like, it's probably even like Eastman Premier League level. Like we're not very good. We're like bottom of the league at the moment. But obviously my brother moved to Newcastle in 2012 with his wife. So I used to go down, and then obviously I moved there now. So I'm kind of
like you're sort of
adopted Geordie.
Fair. You're doing all right. Doing all right this season.
It's good as well, because obviously Airdrie play in front of like fucking less than 1,000 fans. So you're going for that to go into Champions League at St James's Park. It's
good stadium, lovely stadium, like proper. It's a proper footballer's stadium.
It's a good city as well, because obviously the stadium's right there in the city centre, and then the takeover just generated so much hype. But then not only is there the takeover, there's actually government spending money on infrastructure, putting like new rail lines, transport.
You just follow the money, like, you know.
It's like you said.
We used to invest highly in like Greenwich, which is like HS2. So again, it's like if you're going to spend £1 billion on a rail line that's going to improve transport links, you're already actually on the Thames. So like the same way, if you just follow like, okay, look, what happened in Battersea, what happened in, you know, all these other areas that were on, you know, on the Thames, all the sort of Brixtons moving that sort of way, and you're like, come on, like it's a no-brainer really, isn't it?
Sometimes it seems so obvious as well, but then like it's too obvious sometimes. But that's the thing with Newcastle, obviously you've got the city centre there, and then they're building more blocks, but then it's going to start spreading out. So you've got some areas in Newcastle that people wouldn't have touched with a barge pole. They used to actually offer people the houses for like £500 back in like 30 years ago, and people wouldn't take them up on it. And now these are booming for like Airbnb and flips and stuff. And it's mental, because it's like these people must be like,
you're just like tapping into loads of like. I remember when there was a whole like buy a house for £1 or something like that, like because people nobody wanted to live there. Yeah, they were like, I'm not doing it.
And then like they're kicking themselves now. So sometimes but that's the thing as well. You're going tapping in about limited mindset. And anytime you speak to someone about property, they've always got a horror story.
Yeah.
But you never really speak to the one that's went and done it and been successful. And it's always people with no skin in the game. Oh, that's a nightmare, and I heard this.
Like, I remember when I started my first business in property after investing, and it was like a rent-to-rent company.
Yeah.
And I was telling like my best mate at the time, like, I'm gonna set up this, and all this thing was, but there's already loads of estate agents. I wasn't even setting up an estate agent, but it's like, I think you have to talk to people that understand the business model, as opposed to talking to people that maybe look at it and they just are a bit negative or a bit scared. You've got to talk to people that are in the industry
100%.
that haven't a sort of more based opinion.
The thing is as well though, man, like you speak to these people and they've got a problem for every solution.
Yeah.
And then you try and speak to them. But also as well, if it's like one of your mates and then you're maybe starting talking about setting up a business, but they maybe know you as a version of yourself that go out and party and do this and that. So maybe it kind of shines a light on them a little bit, like, well, I could be doing this too. But it's very easy just to stay in your routine. But that all taps back into the mindset and stuff like that. It's mad. I used to slate people online to my friends, like, who's this guy think he is, like posting this online? And that's what put me off when I started property. I was like, what if people like slag me off?
Yeah.
And I used to put it up and they were all slagging me off and sending me screenshots and going like, what's the yield on this and what's this? And then see the first time like an investor invested in me off the back of social media. I was in a group chat and they were talking about like football, and then someone put one of my posts in, and it basically was like, hi, what's this and this? And then I said to him, well, I actually got an investor off the back of it, and I showed them the screenshot. And they just blanked it and then started talking about like the game that was on. And I just thought, I'm muting this chat, man. And then I since left it. But it's like you say, like
everybody's gonna, like, when you put yourself out there on social media, and it's like, it's fine. Like, mates, that's what we do as mates. Like, we laugh at each other. It's a bit of bad now, but everyone's gonna laugh.
Yeah.
Until it works, and then they're gonna ask you how to do it and if you can help them.
See the amount of people that like turn me down at the start and stuff like that as well, and then a few years later they're messaging you. But like, I suppose it's good as well, because the good thing about putting yourself out there online is if an investor comes on my page after this, for example, never heard of this guy, like, who is he? They go through the page, everything's there. They go on Trustpilot, there's over 250 reviews.
That's
on
your
there.
shop window. That's literally your, when people say, I'll build out an investor deck, your Instagram page a lot of the time becomes your, like, okay, who is this person? Do I like him? Do I like what he stands for? Not just when he's pitching to sell something to me, but who is he every day? Who's he been for the last year? And you can find that out through your profile effectively.
And the thing is as well, like, see, when I started sourcing and stuff like that, I must have came across so desperate to the investors because I didn't do a deal in the first 9 months, but I was itching because I was working so hard. Whereas now, if an investor phones me, obviously you're taught to like get it all up front and stuff. And I tell the investor, look, I couldn't care less if you want to pay me up front or you don't, because I know if a good deal comes, I'm going to move it. Whereas at the start, man, like, and it must come across to investors like, oh my God, he's not being pushy. And I actually said one the other day, so I was sending an investment to a guy, and it turned out there was a little bit of problem with the leasehold. And I just said to the guy, look, I know I shouldn't be saying this because it's going to cost me a fee, but don't buy this one because there's going to be other deals that come up. But that's because you built that deal flow up through your proof. I mean, I remember some of the deals, I always say sometimes, like, when someone says, how did you do that deal? I'm like, mate, I don't know, it just fell in my lap. And they're like, but it didn't, because you put yourself out there for so long. And someone messaged me, and it was 2 flats in Aberdeen in Scotland. So in Scotland, you have a survey report before you sell, like a valuation on it, with all the 1s, 2s and 3s on it. The survey was like 125, and it was recent as well. And he was like, I want 45 each for them, but obviously above 40 you pay the ADS, so it's like 8%. And he's like, can you put this in your WhatsApp group to push to your investors? And I was looking, I was like, mate, I'll take these both off you right now at like $39.99 a piece. And he's like, all right then. Bought the 2 of them. The rent's like 1,200 quid, so it's like 8,400 a year cash flow, about 700 a month. I bought them on the Friday, and I kind of start the remortgage process before I buy, especially with slow lenders like Aldermore and stuff like that as well, just so you get ahead of the game. So I bought it on like the Friday, and then like a week and a half later they valued. I got a down value slightly to 115, but then I was like, do you know what? I want to be debt free anyway, so that's 10 grand extra equity. Yeah. Still pulling my money about. Paid the investor.
I think there's nothing wrong in it. Like, obviously, it's good to get, when you're starting out, it's amazing to obviously get your money out, because that's obviously your cash flow, that's your lifeblood to be able to go again.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, interest rates again right now, we're at what, 4.5% ish, depending on what you pay as a product fee. You know, and that's probably, as much as people saying, oh, they've gone up, that's probably around a healthy rate for interest rates to be. It's around like a realistic, long-term, sustainable rate. Yeah. But they've been at double digits at points.
Yeah, I mean, the average rate in the 80s and 90s was like 17%.
And so it's scary when people are like leveraged at, you know, everything is leveraged at 75%, everything across all platforms, every type of property. And even when you look at, I've spoken about this in the past, but like the commercial valuations, where realistically you're leveraged at 75% off the commercial val, but realistically you're leveraged at 100% of the bricks and mortar val.
100%. And see, for me, when I started out as well, because I told you I saved up for years and it took me years to buy quite a few, the concept to actually pulling any money out for me, I felt like I'd been in the Matrix and I'd been handed the red pill. I'm like, so for me, like, because I was used to buying turnkeys, I can go, well, I can pull my money out, I can do a refurb and leave 15k in, but I've got a brand new house. Whereas you get these people that, I want all money out and I want 30% below, but I've only got X amount and I want to bridge everything. So it's just a bit realism. But when I get down values and stuff like that, I don't really, it's obviously hurts because you've sometimes got an investor to pay and stuff and you're maybe expecting more for another deal. But for me, I want to be debt free and I know what I could sell it at that time if I want to. So sometimes I'm not too bored. So despite the growth I've had, I would say like my LTV is probably about 66% across the portfolio, which I'm really happy with. I'm at a stage now where I'm happy with where the portfolio's at. So every purchase I now do, when I remortgage, I go on repayment straight away. And my Airbnb stuff, obviously Airbnb's not guaranteed, so it's great in the summer, but the winter it's not guaranteed. So some of my mortgages, I use the net profits from Airbnb to pay them off. So I've got my strategy there. But the buy-to-lets are what kind of props you off.
And I think it's just, you just have to be careful. The same way we spoke about the like Section 24 and that coming in and really changing owning properties in your personal name. They're now talking about potentially bringing in like a tourism tax on Airbnbs, which again, if you bought these Airbnbs solely on the basis that they only stack at 75% loan to value, when you're really sweating the asset to get the additional uplift of maybe doubling the rent on the Airbnb model, if there's a change, now these properties are not viable. Now you've got a mortgage that you say, well, look, I'm going to have to sell because it's not viable.
Yeah.
But I've got an early redemption penalty of 5%.
Yeah.
I didn't buy them right in the first place. They only worked because of the Airbnb model. I think people have to be really careful about building portfolios that work for the long term. Everybody talks about building generational wealth, but generational wealth isn't as simple as just buying a home. Generational wealth is buying assets that have long-term strategies and work in good and bad markets.
100%. And that's the thing as well. Buy-to-let's always been there. Like everybody always needs a place to stay. But it was like HMOs a few years ago, then it was social housing, and now it serves the accommodation. So it's like, right, what's the next one that's going to come along? Do you know what I mean?
We've seen some of like the social housing schemes absolutely crash and burn, like in the hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of debt just because you lost a contract. You know, they changed like in terms of what the rates were for certain things.
Yeah, so in the Northeast as well, like people were taking 2 to 3 bed houses, chopping them up into a 4, 5 or 6 to do the social housing, like the mere stuff and things like that. And then obviously there's a lot of political unrest now as well. So there's that happening. And then some of the houses are being handed back. But some of these guys before were trying to sell it on the value of lease. So that the bricks and mortar could be like 80k and they're maybe trying to sell it like 200k and stuff. It's almost like that 25-year net lease scheme thing as well, where you're selling it at double what it's worth. And then sometimes these houses are being handed back. So how solid are these leases that are 5 years guaranteed rent if they're handing them back?
And with changes in like the like Renters Reform Act as well, and like, you know, so many different things that changed the way in which like tenancies work and what is viewed as, well, there was no more such thing as an AST, or now just being a short tenancy. Tenants now have rights to stay from however long. It's deemed as who's the landlord versus who collects the majority of the rent. There's so many different changes and intricacies that if you solely base the valuation of that property on these new schemes, whether it's HMO, whether it's these long 25-year lease schemes of guaranteed rent, whether it's serviced accommodation, and you ignore the bricks and mortar element of what is it worth, what did I pay for it? And that's why for me, I'm like, look, there's so much things can work really well. And of course, like, whilst things are good, make the money. No one's saying don't do that. But also make sure that there is that exit strategy, there is that plan B for if things aren't as good, does the deal stack? And that's why it's so important. Like when people ever ask me, like, what do I do in property? Buy for the right price.
Yeah.
If you buy well, if you have to revert to a standard, if you have to revert to a standard buy to let, if you have to sell, if you have to refurbish, if you make mistakes on your finance, mistakes on your refurb, you can almost like make as many mistakes as you want if you buy well in the first place.
100%. Well, you make your money when you buy, don't you? Whether that be you're buying at discount. And another thing as well, like you need to know your exit. So who is the exit? And I'm buying to hold most of the time. And I'm like, well, I'm the exit.
Yeah.
Right. So I need to know my values. I need to know my refurbishment. But then you learn because you're doing repetition. Like you do hundreds of them. Then you go, right, well, I messed up in that one. I'm not going to do that again. Because nothing teaches you like losing money, man.
Yeah. You learn a lot more from your mistakes.
100%.
When you win, you learn nothing. Like,
you're like, when's the next one?
Like if you talk about something like playing football or whatever, like you go and score a hat trick. You're not gonna learn anything from that. You just scored, like just buzzing, like you did everything right. But if you go and like you mess up and you maybe like get done and you get an absolute bollocking from your manager, like you're gonna learn very quickly. Don't do that if you want to play for this team.
And I used to play in goals when I played football as well. So if I made this mistake, that was it. It's usually a goal. Whereas if you're a defender, a midfielder, or like somebody behind can dig you out. But goalie, man, there's no hiding place.
We're gonna have to see. You're gonna have to test his techers. I know Anthony Laville. You familiar with him?
No,
he's from Birmingham. So he does this like tournament called Big Deals Only in the summer. So it's a 5-a-side tournament. It was really good. They had a lot of like ex-pros down there. All the property developers bought their own team. It was for charity. So you have to make sure you get yourself down there.
Get
Big
a team of ringers together, mate.
Yeah.
Put me in goal, man. But this is on video now, so someone will put 10 past me and go on your podcast.
To be fair, I played in goal as well, in it.
Yeah.
I played in goal. We had a decent team, couple ringers, got a couple people from like the PBK community. So a couple of my guys are like ex-pros. So, you know what I mean? To bring them down.
It's almost like the Ballers League, but for property, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. We'll have to find a good name for it. But it's good stuff. I'm going to ask you some more quick fire questions now, right? So, what do you think is the biggest lesson you've learned in property?
Probably like not everybody's got the same outlook as you. So at the start I was quite naive sometimes, and I went into business with maybe some people I shouldn't. And in one of the deals I did, I actually obtained money on behalf of someone else who I knew, and that went terrible. So he said it was for a property deal. Obviously, it was one of my friends that I knew for a long time. And it turns out it wasn't even a deal. So, and I had to stand on that and pay that myself. So that was tough. But everybody I speak to in property has had something similar. It's like it's an idiot tax, isn't it? Like you're naive, and obviously I'm thinking like he can bring this to the table when really realistically he was just out there to do me over. So like not everybody's got the same way of looking at it you do. Make sure you have contracts. If you're taking money off people and they want security, make sure you've got the right things in place. So I would say that's been the number one lesson is like trust. Like don't trust everyone because some people are out to rip your eyeballs out.
What would you say is one of the biggest misconceptions in property?
Probably one of the biggest misconceptions of property is that like you can do flips with like no money, like no money down and stuff like that. You can get your money out every single deal. I would say they're probably some of the big, because you see it online all the time, and I suppose if you're a course seller, that's what's going to get someone in the door. And you can do these deals, but what they're failing to mention is you're going to be having to pay more interest, or you need to have a deal with really, really solid numbers here as well. Like I'm talking 35-40% discount to be able to pay your investors off and pay your bridging and stuff like that and get your money out. I would say that's one of the big ones, that sometimes you don't need money to go in. You need to find the people with the money to fund it for you.
No, for sure. Like you've built a portfolio worth over 8 figures, I think 11 million plus at this point, hundreds of units. You must have viewed a lot of properties.
Yeah, at the start, like I was out there all the time, but the thing for me is because I was wanting to do sourcing as well. I thought like when I started, I thought it's going to be good for an investor because he actually has a portfolio of buy-to-lets. But I thought I knew everything because I had a few buy-to-lets. I knew nothing. But then obviously there was my social proof for investors if they're speaking with you. But yeah, got out in viewings, and obviously you're building those relationships. And then like I wasn't from Newcastle, so I had to bring myself up to speed with the areas. So I was on like probably 30, 40, 50 viewings a week, loads of different agents.
What's the strangest thing you've seen on a viewing?
Strangest thing I've seen on a viewing? There's been a few. Probably I did a viewing at the very start, and it was a girl that was going to get repossessed. Like, I rented it out to these people, and like they've not paid the rent, went AWOL and went in, and it was a large scale cannabis farm. That was pretty strange.
Yeah.
Then I'm trying to think as well, like people have left pornos and stuff like that, dildos. I'm trying to think what else, man. There's nothing that particularly stands out. Like, it's really weird.
So you see all sorts. Like,
yeah, you get used to it.
You see all sorts. And it wasn't on a viewing, but one time I walked into a property that I'd bought that had been basically at the people that it came with tenants that we had to evicted the tenants. We were kind of about to start the refurb. I've gone back in. They've broken back in, like put a mattress on the floor, and they're getting down to business in the front room, like just on a mattress. And I'm like, right. You're gonna have to go. Like, I'll give you 5 minutes to, I don't know if you need to finish, clean up, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, you're gonna have to get out.
Yeah, I think as well, just see what you're dealing with people at the end of the day, and everybody has different personalities, and you deal with some characters, but you deal with some normal people as well. But I think like it's just that mad at times, some of the stuff in property, you kind of just get used to it. And this is the thing as well, like I started out and I was buying little buy-to-lets, but now I'm looking at £1 million deals on the regular, and now that's the norm. Like, you treat it like almost like a 40 grand buy-to-let, and I'm like, I've not got the money to do this, because obviously you know yourself when you're aggressively buying or you're in multiple projects, like cash is tight, but then you're looking at all these massive deals and you're just like, it's such a paradox at times, because you're looking at these massive deals with all this money, but your current account saying, how are you going to do that, big man?
It is, but it's like, you know, that the sign of a good property investor is often that you're a broke one, that your money's constantly recirculating. You spoke about some of these big deals. I know you said, like, when we've spoken in the past, you said, oh, I don't know about these new builds.
Yeah.
What is it about them that puts you off a little bit?
I don't know. There's just so many. Like, see, when I go into a single unit, right, and I go into a house, I know my max spend if it's not structurally damaged. And I know, right, if it's got damp, it's got, you know, your max in there. But if you're doing these developments, like, I've never did it before.
Yeah.
So anything could crop up. Like, you could dig in, or there's extra, and obviously the margins are tighter as well as this price are going up. So all it maybe takes is something to go wrong here, and then you're totally gone. Whereas I'm mainly buying to hold. So if I'm buying to hold here and I spend an extra 10 grand in the refurb, I'm like, well, I'll maybe get a better monthly rate or better tenant, or maybe get higher value. But if you do that in a development to flip, it could be curtains. And then you hear all this stuff about people getting ransom stripped and stuff like that in the land, and Section 75s for the council and stuff like that as well. And I'm just like, I just know, like, just now, maybe in the future, but like the now.
Yeah, I understand it completely. Like, there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
A lot of, like, you hear, I don't know if you ever heard this phrase, but like, you're not safe until you're out of the ground.
No,
like in the big, so basically it's like, you know, like you kind of alluded to, until you've got out of the ground, you don't know what the soil type's going to be like. You budget for like a, you know, a 1.5 meter standard foundation, and you get there and they're like, nope, the soil's X. You've got to have root barriers because this tree's too close. You've got to do this. So you've now got to do screw piles, or you've got to do full on piling to get in. And before you know it, something that you budgeted, like you said, maybe 20 grand for, is now 80 grand.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, like, you're obviously got the big players like Bellway and Miller Homes and stuff like that, and their profit margins they're working to are like so tight, it's like 6 or 8% or something like that. Whereas obviously we're just normal guys, so like, our profit needs to be a lot higher. So if something like that goes wrong and it's an extra, I don't know, 5% in the cost, that's your profit.
But I think the thing that I do say to people, and or no, more so I should say, people say this to me, and it's like that, with all of the skill set that you've built over the years for understanding, like, because somebody else is going to look at you and be like, I wouldn't buy a house because what if this happens, and what if that happens, and what if X, Y, or Z happens? You've now learned that actually these are just part of doing business, and they do happen, but we find a way to factor them in.
Yeah.
As you go to a higher level, and like you said, whether you went from buying one unit at a time to buy maybe a house split into 2 flats, to now buying portfolios, to now buying blocks, like, they're all just kind of, I guess, little learning curves, like testing you and training you for whatever your next venture is going to be.
I think as well, like, see, when you go through these deals and sometimes they go wrong at the time, you think this is the end of the world, and then you get through it and you're like, that actually wasn't that bad when you look back. But then your challenges just get different. But when you're talking about property and stuff like that, I always explain to people things can go wrong. So my analogy is, it's like putting a bet on a football team, but your team's winning 2-0. So it's looking good. All the signs are there, but we can still call back for that.
Sometimes you need to take the cash out.
Yeah. So I just think like that, like, in theory, the comparables are there. This is this, this is this, but the reality is always different, because like you can't guarantee what a surveyor's going to do. You could have a first time buyer that does that, and then it gets to survey stage and it's a 200-year-old building, and they're like, nah, I don't like that. So there's so many factors that are not in your control.
Yeah.
And you just need to learn to kind of roll with the punches.
No, for sure. Have you got a favourite deal that you've done? Like one that sticks out to you?
Probably that Glasgow portfolio I was telling you about. That was probably one. Just the whole circumstance about it kind of, it all just came from relationships. I'm always talking about relationships with people. And it was my first like massive deal as well. And I was really shitting it as well because I was just used to doing single units. That was a really good one, but then one's just popped in my head there. So it was the first ever time I raised money. It was a deal in northeast of England. It was a non-paying tenant. It was up for about 80k. I think I got it at 57.5, and I got it secure. And I was like, right, well, how am I going to get the money now? And I posted in a community I run, and I raised the money within 5 minutes. And I was in and out that deal. The tenant wasn't paying because the bathroom was wrecked. Redid the bathroom. Within 6 weeks, he was paying all his rent again. And I revalued at 95k and paid that investor off. So that was my favourite, like, because I knew the concept works.
Like proof of concept,
yeah,
right?
And this investor still works for me to this day, and he's always asking if you get any more deals you can fund, or if I'm maybe going through a period where I'm not agreeing new deals. He's like, what's going on here? Like, what are you buying? So that was good because that proved, like, you go on these courses and you speak to people and they tell you can do it, but then when you actually go through it, you're like, yeah, you can. So that was probably that one, I would say.
I think it's nice. I think it's always nice when you can work with people for the long term as well. Like long-term relationships, like I think one mistake a lot of people make when raising investor finance, they're always chasing the next investor, as opposed to actually cultivating the relationships with the people that now trust you and you've worked with already, and you can build those long-term relationships with.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, like if you're consistently doing deals with them and building a track record, and then it's like, right, well, my refinance is coming from this, and he's like, were you any more deals to put it in? But then the bigger your portfolio goes as well, you can go, do you know what, this is a really good one, but I don't need an all money out now. I've maybe got my rents elsewhere that can cover this shortfall that's going to be there. So you can start being more picky with stuff. But it's just, it's good having those relationships because you know yourself in property. You need speeds, especially when you're doing flips and stuff like that, because good deals don't hang around.
Yeah.
So if I can just fire a WhatsApp message off and they say, yep, I'm in, then that gives you the certainty to secure that deal. Or you know what, I'm going to call this deal on because I've got this money coming back for this investor. You only need a few investors to really choose.
How do you generally work with investors?
So there's loads of different ways you can do. You've got some that maybe have 20 grand and they want to fund a refurb. Obviously that's unsecured. You have some that are first charge, personal guarantee. So the guy I was telling you about here, he's almost like a bridging lender. So he lends you first charge. His minimum loan's 3 months loan term, but 2% a month, and you cover his legals, no exit fees. So I'm thinking, right, if I can get a turnkey deal here that's 30% discount at 25, the finance only cost me 6% here, and then he'll go again and go again and go again. But it's all different ones. I tend to use bridging finance quite heavily and maybe raise for the deposit unsecured from investors.
Do you know why I think what you said is really interesting? Because a lot of people, like I got a text this morning actually from like someone saying, like, can you talk to me about bridging? Like, 'cause I just heard it's really expensive. Like, and it's expensive relative to a standard mortgage, or actually it's not now, but we'll talk about that after. But like, it's expensive, but it's a product that's fit for purpose.
Yeah.
You just spoke about paying somebody 2% a month. Most people hear 2% a month and be like, I would never pay that. I've never given someone 2% a month, but it's just a cost of doing business.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is as well, like if the deal's there, right? So if you come, like I'll give you a good example. The guy messaged me the other week, he's like, you got anything else coming? And I saw one on auction, and I know the guy from the auction house. So the valuation on that was 125. My broker ran the desktop valuation with together, which was 137. So with a high confidence level. So I'm like, right, okay, I have it secured at 70. And then I paid an auction fee and the 8% stamp duty. So I'll be all in for that deal at like 85k, but I'm pulling 90 out. But the investor said to me, he's like, you got any? And I was like, yeah, I've actually got this one. Yep, we'll fund it. And I know I'll be in and out that straight away because it doesn't need a refurb. I'm just buying it at discount. So yeah, he's getting his 6% over the 3 months, and I'm getting a house, and it's going to pay me monthly.
And what I was saying about it is like a lot of people look at that 2% and be like, oh, it's so expensive. But realistically, it's, do you want 100% of nothing or like 80% of something?
Yeah.
And yeah, 2% is a lot of money. Like bearing in mind that like bridging now, you can get a like 0.8% give or take.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of money. But if it's going to facilitate moving quickly, there's a premium that you pay for speed and flexibility.
So I call them rate chasers. So like I tend to go together on the bridging because I could come out here today and get a deal, and it could be in legals today. So that's what I quite like, but you pay slightly higher.
Of course.
But that's just like, would you rather pay 0.3% less and it takes 2 months? Or would you rather pay 0.3% more and get it done in 2 weeks.
And that's why it's so important, I think, a lot of the time to have a good broker that's going to be able to tell you, what do you need? Like, you tell them the deal and then they'll say, this is the lender for you. So you just gave an example of Together being able to move quickly.
Yep.
The rate might be like a little bit more, but they're going to make sure you get the deal done. You could go with somebody who the rate's like, 0.1%, 0.15% less. But if their underwriting process is absolute ag, if their legals are just ridiculously slow and you know that you're not going to get the deal done, then you haven't saved money. It's cost you the deal because you haven't done the deal at all.
100%. And like at my broker, his name is Ewan. He's a guy from Scotland. He's got hundreds of units. So he became a broker because he was getting frustrated with how long his remortgages were taking. So he's in the same game as us and he's trying to navigate the same challenges. So I'll message him, hey mate, non-standard construction, this is the type, but I'm buying it this, what's my exit? He'll tell you straight away, right, you'll maybe get away with Shawbrook here, or Together, worst case.
Listen, I feel like him and my broker, they might be twins, like they might have been separated at birth. I've got same thing, Jordan, he's like, I'll be like, listen, this is what I'm doing. He'll be like, right, these people would do it, but they're going to be slow. These people will do it, they're going to be expensive, but they'll get it done. And these are in the middle. Now you, as the actual person whose business it is, can decide what's best for you. Yeah. But you need someone who can give you that full market information, picture based on the snapshot you've provided to move forward with the most confidence.
And the thing is as well, the relationships a good broker has with BDMs, because they'll be underwriting a lot of business.
100%.
See, when it comes to it's there in black and white, here's the lender's criteria and it's a flat no. But sometimes there's that grey area and he's got that relationship. And
to get him on the phone and be like, listen, I'm going for lunch with the head of whoever. Let me speak to him over lunch. And that's it. And especially when the people that you work with, whether it's your broker, your architect, your solicitor, are in property as well. They understand it from a business perspective, not just this is my job, whatever you do's on you. They're looking at it from this is what it is. But also, because I know the game, you're going to have to consider X, Y, and Z as well.
100%. Like when they have those relationships, it's golden. And then the lenders actually get to know you. We know this guy, because you're trying to rattle. I try and rattle through hundreds of deals. Obviously, it's not for everyone because it is tough. But you start to get that, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, these big companies have now got this track record. So if something is a bit more exotic with a deal, you've got that track record there, and then it's like, well, worst case scenario, if it goes tits up, they've got first charge over the house anyway.
And it's like they'll be again, and that's the whole thing about building relationships. Like sometimes I might use a lender off the basis that, you know what, I've got this loan. If I stick all these loans with them, now I've got, I don't know, like £4 million worth of lending with X people. They kind of have to come to the table and have conversations. So with us, like even with the community, like there's certain lenders where we look at it and we're like, look, over the last 24 months, we've given them £50 million worth of business. So if I now say, well, I want to do X, and they're like, normally we would need that done ahead of completion. But they were like, okay, we'll do it as a post-completion condition just so you can get the deal done. And you get that flexibility from having a good track record and also the volume that you alluded to as well.
100%, because people want involved, let's be honest. There's big business in bridging. So when I mentioned that portfolio last year that I bought, there was complications with two of them. Two tenants wouldn't allow access. So that's the reason one of them wouldn't allow access, because he was doing a grow, which we found out after. So this was lend invest, and then we're like, well, we're going to need to take these two elsewhere, otherwise the deal's off. So we done the two in an AVM with Together to get it through. But then what happened is, because there's two separate bridging lenders, like there's more complications, but they ended up doing a ranking agreement at the end. And then like I didn't even know what that was before.
Yes, because this one's like, well, I've got cross collateralization and you're doing this, and somebody else is saying, well, I want the floating charge over the whole company. And it's just, but again, there's always a solution. And to go back to what you said earlier about like talking to a friend, getting into business, it doesn't matter if you're selling cars and fixing them up. It doesn't matter if you want to open a hair salon, a restaurant, there's going to be problems. And ultimately, as an entrepreneur, as an investor, it's your job to be solution orientated
100%.
Rather than just complain that there's issues.
100%. Sometimes you feel like a babysitter at times as well with some of the things you have to deal with, or a firefighter. Like I've put my phone over there because it will just ping, ping. I'll come out and I'll be like, missed call here, missed call there, missed call there, 20 WhatsApps, and then no doubt something's went tits up while I've been recording this as well. So, but it's just you just get used to it. It's part of the game.
And that's
part of the course, sorry, not part of the game.
Yeah, but I think that's it. Like, and that's why, like, when people ask me, "Oh, what are you doing with the podcast? What's the plan?" I'm like, "Plan? This is my therapy. I need to speak to people, and hopefully, like, you watch this back and you listen to this as well yourselves, and you're like, yeah, like, you know what? It's not that bad. What I'm going through, other people are going through, or where he is now is where I want to be, but where he was 5 years ago is where I am now. So it gives people more confidence. So it's all just about conversations.
The thing is as well, like, see when you're doing things like that, see when I try and speak to like one of my mates that isn't even involved in property, they're looking at you like you should be a straight jacket instead of a night jacket on you. But then when you come here and we're like, oh yeah, this, and it's quite scary at times when you're actually sitting deep it. Like the other day I was just looking, I'm signing more paperwork, and I'm just like, this is actually, in the grand scheme of things, if you overthink it, it's crazy. But at the same time, you're like, well, like the plan is to be debt. I've got a strategy and I'm playing a 20-year game here, so you need to go. So sometimes you clock yourself at times going, fucking hell, man. I start, my dream when I started was to have 10 buy-to-lets. Yeah. And now I'm sitting on over 100 now. I'm like, I want more still, but it changes, like you say, as you do. Like you have that goal and then you hit it and you're like, right, well, what's next now? What's next?
What is next?
Good question. So I've sat and like wrote out some of my goals for next year. So I'm 34 now. So next year I'll set 34 goals. Mixture of business, personal, finance, stuff for my wife, health, all that sort of stuff. But I would say the main kind of like then the next year, I've sourced over 250 deals this year for investors and bought almost 70 properties this year. Next year I want to buy 20, like kind of pull down a bit because it's so stressful, but source 300. And then I set up a lettings agency as well, like off the back of the sourcing, because I was fed up arguing with agents about rent. So probably like to get 100 more on with that and be in my new house as well. So I bought a new residential house to live in. And permitted development.
You got to talk to you about the house. What kind of house are we doing?
Yeah, so basically I live in an area which is quite nice. It's called Wickham. It's just up from the metro centre in Newcastle. And we had a 2-bed with 1 box room. Basically, it was too small for us. We're getting married, so the next step's hopefully going to be kids, touch wood. And I'm actually messaged an agent I'm quite friendly with, and I was like, look, you get any flips coming up? Because I heard the word in the street they might be getting a listing for a house. He's messaged me saying, come see this house, but bring your missus with you. So we went round the corner. It's like 0.3 miles away. It's 5 houses on the street. It's about 150 square metres, whereas my current one was one before was 83. And I fell in love with it immediately. So we got it for 425. We'll probably spend about 150 on it, and it'll be worth 750 done. But like I said,
It's so funny that you're looking at it as, you're not telling me, I'm asking you about your house that you're going to live in. And you're telling me, yeah, this is what it's going to be worth. This is what it's not like, yeah, I'm going to go for the open plan kitchen with a breakfast bar.
She's in. So we're doing a single story extension, which will add 30 square metres onto the house. Nice. Paige is chatting about orangeries and porcelanosa kits. Like, so she's interior designer, man. But
and in your head, you're just like, as long as the values stack, you could do what you want.
The thing is as well, I'm just thinking to myself as well, so once this is all paid off, I'm going to have X amount to bridge against, so I don't need to get a private investor if this deal comes up. But yeah, it was like, initially it was, I was looking for myself to flip, but I actually fell in love with the place, and I was like, we're in a place now, this is the next step, and we've done it, and it's quite hard at the moment because we're temporarily living elsewhere. We're in an area that's further away and not as handy to live in. But yeah, it's really good. Like, my wife's obviously she's probably been the one that's opened my eyes a bit, because she moved down to London, she worked in the city and stuff, whereas she's like, I was in a small town, kind of happy where I was at. So it's all kind of happened because of my wife as well, because she was like, no, you need to kind of move if you want to be with me and do better. And then my life's just 180.
But yeah, that's amazing. So 100 plus properties now, looking to continue scale the sourcing side of the business.
Yeah.
You've obviously kind of, I guess, vertically integrated to create a business to cater for your own business as well, which is good, and then grow that to, looking after other people's, which is good stuff.
It was never on my radar as well. That's the thing. See, when something happens naturally, like I just wanted to source, because I know sourcing is good income, and then I can use some income to then fund my deals. But then if I'm sourcing at a good level, the deal flow is going to be good. So then I'm wanting to pick some of the ones for myself, but you can't do them all. So it's really good, especially if you need to be bang at it though. It's hardcore at times, because you're almost hustling. Like sometimes you don't know where the next deal is going to come from, or you're maybe up against this person, you need to do this, you need to do that. But I enjoy it, man. It's fast paced, and obviously just the relationships off the back of it that you build with people as well, because you're making people money. We're not trying to sell someone double glazing windows. We're saying, look, do you want something that's 70 pence on the pound, or do you want something that's going to make you 20% in 6 months? So of course they all want to do. So you're actually selling something that people have a want for. Whereas sitting in a boiler room with yellow pages, phoning like the old gran, saying like, do you qualify for the heating grant? It's total opposite, isn't it?
Nah, complete 360. Well, you've done amazingly. Look, before we let you go, we're going to ask you some quick fire questions now, right? What is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear someone say property downturn?
Like, just don't know what they're talking about, basically.
No. Would you rather secure one massive deal or 5 smaller, consistent ones?
Consistent.
Okay. Have you ever walked away from a deal knowing that it could have made you money?
Yes.
What is your best way to rebuild confidence after a setback?
Just get back in the saddle, man. Like, honestly, just back on.
Do you agree or disagree that property is 80% psychology, 80% psychology, 20% strategy?
Agree. Yeah. Mate.
Like that one, yeah. If you could pick if you could pick one person to learn to negotiate from, who would it be?
Probably Donald Trump, man. The way he's going about things, he's a lunatic.
What is one mistake that a new investor can make when it comes to due diligence?
Believing everything an agent tells them.
Are you guilty? If you say no to this one, by the way, I'm going to say you're lying. Are you guilty of underestimating time delays?
Oh, mate, guilty as yeah, guilty as charged, man.
We're all guilty for that, right? This or that. Take the deal now or wait for better terms?
Take the deal now.
Final one. Give one piece of advice for somebody going into their first JV.
One piece of advice for that, like, make sure you have rock solid contracts. Do you know the person as well? Because you see a lot of these property courses, like me and you could go on a course together and we get on. We've only knew each other a week and all of a sudden we're setting a company up. You're financially tied to them. So make sure you do your research on the background as well. Lay it out as well, because like you could be bringing the money and I'm bringing the deals. But then after a while you could be thinking, well, all he's doing is bringing the deals. I'm risking the capital. So make sure it's all there for day one and like it's all ironed out. Because then if you're kind of working off a gentleman's agreement sometimes as well, you know what it's like. Maybe one person's pulling more than the other. So yeah, I would just say make sure you do your homework and just don't jump into business and JV with anyone. Quite happy with that as well. Like my own portfolio, I'm pretty much 100% ownership in most of my stuff. I've got a JV portfolio I'm doing with one person, but we said at the start, like, there's no point in doing like one deal here. We need to have a few big ones. So that's
what you're doing. Specifically, understand that you both are on board, both on track with the same things. Great advice.
100%.
Look, if people want to reach out to you and find you, want to get in touch with you, maybe they want you to help them source something, maybe they want to invest with you, how can they find you?
So I'm pretty much on Instagram. I have 2 pages. One of them is my personal from before property, which I don't use as much. So my Instagram is @DL Ventures, so it's like Dalziel, the English all pronounce it. That's all one word. And I'm pretty much mostly active in that. I've got TikTok and other socials, but yeah, Instagram.
Well, listen, make sure you reach out to Chris. If you do reach out to Chris, he sees that he said he needs to work on that deal flow, make sure he's got other things. Just say you found him from Kazy, so I get my 2%, right?
2% is cheap, mate.
Listen, I'm a cheap man. I'm a cheap date. 2%. I'm done. All right, do you know what I mean? Go and get a new tracksuit, some traders, and I'll call it a day.
Yeah, exactly, mate.
Nah, that's really good stuff. Look, we appreciate having you on. We are going to be back next week with another amazing episode. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, like this video, and if you've got any questions for myself or Chris, let us know in the comments, and we'll try and get back to you. Peace.
Thank you, man.